Selamat pagi. Acara akan dimulai 10:07. Peserta akan kami admit sebentar lagi. Terima kasih.
Okay, good morning everyone. I am Baskara, the host and the moderator of this event, City Digitalization for the Smarter World. At first, to start this event, we would like to start with the Indonesian anthem, Indonesia Raya. This morning we have some prominent speakers. This is Bambang Santono, the head of authority of New Capital of Indonesia, Nusantara, which will be represented by Mr. Doni Rahayu, the vice chief of the authority, and then Mr. Anies Baswedan, the governor of Jakarta, Mr. Bima Arya Sugiarto, the chairman of APEXI, and then Professor Toshio Obi, the director of APEC Digital Government Research Center at Waseda University, and then Mr. Anbumozi Venkatachalam, the Senior Economic Research Institute for ASEAN and East Asia or area, Professor Ari Ahmad Arman from the Smart City and Community Innovation Center of Institute Technology Bandung, and last, Professor Fabio Duarte, the Principal Research Scientist from Sensible City Lab at MIT. First, we would like the opening from Professor Sonato Supangkat, the head of Smart City and Community Innovation Center of Institute Technology Bandung.
Thank you, Dr. Baskara. Good morning, everybody, and first, His Excellency, Vice Authority of the New Capital Nusantara Indonesia, representative representative by Pak Doni Rahayu, my best friend, and also from the Governor of DKI Jaya, that's represented by Chairman of Smart City, Jakarta Smart City, and distinguished speaker, Professor Toshio Obi from Waseda University, as one of our focal point of that, and also co-chair of the T20 TF2. My friends from Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Dr. Duarte, and Dr. Anbumosi from area. My friend also, chairman of the Smart City Mayor City Association government, and also my friend Dr. Arya Ahmad Arman, and all of participants this morning event. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. This event is in conjunction as Smart City and Community Innovation Center as a host institution of the think tank 20 in conjunction with the G20 and Indonesia as a presidency this year. And also one activities of this Smart City and Community Center that every year organize Goesmart, an activity how to improve the quality of life, smarter Indonesia. But this year, in conjunction with the T20, we expand becoming the smarter the world. And this in as a host institution, Smart City and Community Innovation have three main agenda. One is the policy brief development and related with the Indonesian presidency of G20 in development with the tagline is recover together, recover stronger. But in this task force, we expand with the smarter. And beside the policy brief development, we also have a side event. One is how to make an international collaboration in a living lab, smarter network in G20 economies. And one thing also we organize smarter work innovation challenge that will be open next week as one of our collection, the idea from the world from young generation innovators. Yes, in Think Tank 20, there are 9 policy, there are 9 task force. One of the task force is the digitalization. my job in Smart City and Communication as a host Indonesia task force 2 is to develop related with the task force 2 that is meaningful digital connectivity, cybersecurity, and empowerment that support for the G20 presidency in Indonesia team. And there are about 9 policy areas, start from the digital connectivity, broadband connectivity for our recovery economy, for our recovery of the health. And the others related in datafication, data governance, smartization, smart city, smart village, digital literacy, and also artificial intelligence and ethics, and also in international collaboration. We are preparing one of these international collaboration, how to shape smarter the world, as our tagline in our virtual brigade, how to shaping the smarter the world on the quality of life development, include economic recovery and health recovery, and also climate change consideration for our environmental in the future. Once again, thank you for all of the speaker, all of the author for the policy brief, and also expert in T20 related activities. Thank you once again, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Professor Sono, for the opening speech. Next, we would like to invite Mr. Doni Rahayu, the Vice Chief of the Otorita IKN Nusantara, to give the speech. Sorry, still muted.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, Pak Baskara. My best friend, Professor Suhono. My best friend, Dr. Ari Ahmad Arman. All speakers, seniors, ladies and gentlemen, greeting to one and all. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The new National Capital City, or IKN Nusantara, will help Indonesia achieve its target of becoming a developed country by 2045, as outlined in the Indonesian 2045 vision. Built with the notion of national identity, the IKN Nusantara will change the orientation of development to become more Indonesia-centric and accelerate the country's economic transformation. IKN Nusantara as a super hub will have 6 economic clusters and 2 sporting clusters. Moving the state capital to IKN Nusantara is not just moving the state civil apparatus or just building government buildings. However, IKN Nusantara is a leap for Indonesia to transform towards a more advanced direction. IKN Nusantara is a city that will become a new civilization, become a pilot city, not only for Indonesian, but also it's a global city as a new era. Building IKN from scratch is a challenge in itself. Ladies and gentlemen, to build the new national capital city as a future city that is livable, humanist, inclusive, green, smart, and sustainable, of course, various comprehensive approaches are needed. One of which is the smart city approach. Millennial generation will be the backbone of Indonesia government in the future during the golden generation of Indonesia. It is necessary to pay attention to the needs and character of millennials themselves. There will be more digital services, ICT-based services, which of course are influenced by AI, IoT, big data, robotic, and etc. as part of Industry 4.0 and Society 5.0. The phenomenon of digitalization of smart city has gained increasing prominence in the Industry 4.0 era, as it has the potential to address the problem of resources optimization and the pressure of demand from the growing urban population. In the past, smart city initiatives may not have had the desired impact because they were limited in scope, focusing on physical digital integration of cities and citizen underlying systems. There are many digitalization opportunities in the public sector, promising a new model of public services. E-government architecture as a basis of smart government, smart city-based city management, also dynamic urban planning and spatial planning. Moreover, the government ability to manage the professions and assets on through digital technology is the key to develop a smart area like IKN Nusantara. Furthermore, to accelerate the transformation process and strengthening smart government, it is necessary to have strengthening governance, supervising and assisting the digital transformation process and integration between various services and stakeholders. Digital transformation is one of the change management strategies used to align people, process, and technology as enablers in the organization to the vision, mission, and strategy. Because it is related to technology and involve changes in culture and habits, the change management step is crucial in organizational development. The digital transformation will structurally transform the way work and do activities, which was traditionally conducted offline with physical contact, to become more online. Change like this should be anticipated, prepared for, and carefully orchestrated. We appreciate the support movement and plan for digital transformation and development of Living Lab as a process initiated by SCCIC. Through the digital transformation and Living Lab concept, the evaluation and recommendation can be delivered to be the local authorities and should be addressed and used as a learning process for the next step of development. Furthermore, the idea of Living Lab includes all stakeholders as one of the main actors in modulating the trajectory area. By incorporating various actors from the local government, citizens, academia, and industry in a collaborative space called a Living Lab, we can develop area based on its local potential and real-time situation. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Good morning. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Danung Rahayu. Next, we would like to invite the Governor of Jakarta, which will be represented by Mr. Yudhistira, the head of Jakarta Smart City, which will be gives the speech in 10 minutes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Pak Baskara. A very good morning, all the participants, excellencies, and participant, Pak Waka Otorita IKN, and also Professor Suhono, and also all my friends, Mr. Anbu and Professor Obi, and ladies and gentlemen. First of all, we would like to extend our apologies because our governor not able to participate in this important meeting. So he appointed us to deliver a keynote speech about the important topic today. So I think regarding the topic and to enhance digitalization for the smart city. So Jakarta, we build the government platform, what we call Jaki Super Apps, which integrate public services and official information in Jakarta. So this is something that how we build the third spaces that provide a platform for society. Because when we're talking about a smart city, it's not about city plus technology. It's about how we build the ecosystem, how we build the ecosystem for the people, people connecting to the people connecting to the business, and people connecting to the government. So with a population of 11 million people, Jakarta now is not longer as the capital city of the Republic Indonesia. Jakarta now is facing to be the global city, is facing various urban challenges, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic outbreak in delivering public services to the people who live and work in Jakarta. So this ongoing pandemic transformed how the government provide public services to make service delivery more cohesive and efficient across the whole public sector. But the legacy system integration pose significant challenges. So if we look at the Jakarta, we have more than 150 applications across the 56 city department, but they are silo system. Each city department develop their own apps, so it makes data unstandardized and scattered across the different places and system. So as a result, can you imagine that the resident have to download more than 100 applications to get various public services and alternate between many digital apps because such public services are not integrated. So this COVID-19 pandemic has forced many people to turning to digital solution. So therefore, such conditions have made the public services inefficient for the citizen and the costly for the government budget. And of course, this can decrease the quality of public services. So Jakarta government make a solution. So how do we integrate and standardize millions of government data in a single connected ecosystem? How can residents access more than 100 digital public services seamlessly and effectively? So we build our approach. The answer is threefold. So one approach is building or developing and providing open API. So we standardize the data and integrate them into a single database and the master data management system. Then we provide the public API services to the city department and city co-creator so they can build, connect, and interact. So because when we're talking about digital transformation, it's about how the government provide a public API so the people can build, connect, and interact. So the second approach is system development collaboration, or we call the co-creation approach. So we foster a pentahelic model of cross-sector collaboration. So we build Jaki as a collaborative ecosystem platform to enhance digitalization in Jakarta. We invite the government, citizen, universities, industry, and media to utilize the public API and co-create digital public services based on the citizenry. And the third approach is the service integration. We integrate all data and services into Jaki, our super apps that operate as a one-stop platform for all digital public services in Jakarta. So by doing this, we develop Jaki with the citizen design services, design thinking approach that focus on the customer centricity. With Jaki, so residents can access all public services in the single government platform. Users have a single sign-on digital identity to benefit from personalized public services from the birth to the death. So this is in line with the topic today to how to enhance digitalization in the context of the smart city. So of course, we as a government, as an ecosystem, we are coming as a problem solver. So since the beginning of the pandemic, Jaki has contributed to transforming the quality of public services provided for citizens. So as a government platform, Jaki has cultivated new value in society. So from normally like from paper-based monitoring system to online monitoring system, normally from time-consuming process to instant online process and so forth and so forth. And Jaki as a government platform has eventually become the problem solver to understand the citizen need and the great value on the livelihood. Now, if you look at the Jaki as a government platform, Jaki has integrated more than 60 public services, fulfilling the mandate of the law number 23 of 2014 on the local government services, what we call the Undang-Undang Pemerintah Daerah. So basically we have residents to access basic public services like healthcare, food, education, public housing, public safety, and audit and social affairs. So during the pandemic, Jaki also used as a digital platform for COVID-19 response during this pandemic. So this is also part of it to enhance digitalization on the daily basis. Jaki provide digital information and services on the COVID-19, such as on daily information update, digital contact tracing, mitigation features, and social assistance. And the government need to deliver compatible public services as demanded by the citizen and provide accurate, useful, and up-to-date information to citizens, particularly during this ongoing pandemic. So Jaki in this pandemic also keeps citizens safe during the COVID. We provide data, information, access to keep the public updated. So now we more than around 60 million hit has been counted since its launch. We provide the COVID-19 platform. Jaki also built the corona likelihood metric using machine learning technology that has been used by all the schools in Jakarta. In collaboration with the central government, Peduli Lindungi Jaki Set Entrance feature has been used as a digital contact tracing application and mass monitoring system in public spaces like shopping center, supermarket, and so forth and so forth. This is part of the digitalization to enhance digitalization on daily basis. And Jaki also launched a seamless online vaccine registration to accelerate the national vaccination program that help people who live and work in Jakarta to get vaccine jab. So with Jaki, citizens can also access their vaccination card to prove they has been vaccinated. Now, our vaccination rate in Jakarta now more than 85% of the total number of people who live and work in Jakarta. So there is a many impacts. So regarding the digitalization, digital transformation with Jaki has increased the adoption and efficiency of public services in Jakarta. For example, with Jaki, regarding the online reporting system, we have reduced the complaint submission process, normally run from 24 hours now to 2-3 minutes via mobile phone. And then in terms of vaccination registration, with Jaki, residents no longer need to spend a week, but only spend 3 to 5 minutes to register for vaccination. So this is part of how we improve or enhance digitalization to improve the quality of life and to make it our citizens happy and so forth and so forth. So therefore, by improving basic public services to become more effective, transparent and efficient, Jaki has helped the government to cut millions of dollars of administrative public spending. So finally, we are open to collaborate with other city government and co-creator in Indonesia and in other regions to develop a digital platform for public services to enhance digitalization. And also we are love to share lesson learned and in the building a collaborative ecosystem platform. So we believe Jaki as a government platform can be replicated, marketed, and exported to other countries. I think this is a very important meeting in the G20 country as a government platform. Finally, when talking about smart city, we aim not only to bring happiness to the citizen of Jakarta, but also the entire community. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Yudhistira Nugraha, for the talk. I would like to inform that Mr. Doni Rahayu will leave this session to continue his duty as the Vice Chief of IKN Nusantara. We would like to thank Mr. Doni Rahayu and also Mr. Yudhistira Nugraha for the opening remark of this meeting. Thank you. Okay,
Thank you,
next.
Pak Doni.
We would like to continue our talk. There is a small change to the schedule. First, we would like to start the next session with Professor Toshio Obi, the Director of IPAC Digital Government Research Center of Waseda University. Please.
Hello, this is Toshio Obi from Tokyo. And, I'd like to use my PowerPoint. Just a minute. Can you see my slide?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I thank you very much for inviting me to this very interesting event for T20 and G20. And my topic today is DX for digital government and smart city. And first, I just show my work research at the Waseda University and also APEC, Digital Government Research Center. And we have been engaged on the World Digital Government Ranking Survey for 16 years. And I invented 10 indicator for digital governance a long time ago. And it might be a kind of the benchmark of the digital government evaluations in the world. I have 10, as you can see the slide. And the recent edition of the indicator is the cyber security and the emerging technology in digital government. Just I added 5 years ago. And most important things for digital transformation for digital government, common platform with smart city is the how we can harmonize the infrastructure and the common platforms. Because there are so many sectors involved at the smart digital communities, starting from business, agriculture, transportation, education, research, governance, and medical services. And I have also engaged in the United Nations SDGs at the UN headquarters in New York for several years now. And we organized the workshop at the headquarters in New York. These are a few of the pictures of the workshop itself. And there are so many participants from all over the world. And we last event was taking place by online because of the corona pandemic. And we are talking about the very important issues on the urbanizations. Also, SDG 17 sectors which might be improved by technology and innovations. And I'm proposing several things for the for 5 years, and one of them is the next generations of the digital government model, because we have changed a lot, not only by corona pandemic, but also DX revolutions in the few years now. So we propose the several new factors which might be quite prioritized as the digital government: AI, innovative, digital twin for government, and 5 and 6Gs, mobile government, digital government for SDGs of UN, citizen-centric and social inclusions, data-driven and open innovations, and emergency action for crises, including natural disasters, and global network and standardizations. These are new models for forming digital government, which might be very referring to improvement of smart city and village. Today's topic in the total forum is the smart city. So just I show the Tokyo, where my hometown, which is also the one of the biggest metropolitans, 30 million people living here, and without heavy pollutions, crime, homeless, and traffic. Also with the clean and safest communities. So I'm really thinking about the new type of the collaboration between Jakarta and Tokyo to work together and harmonize the data government, smart city, and smart village in other sectors for the future cities. And finally, since we have only 10 minutes, and the proposal for a policy brief agenda for G20. First one is innovating the new fifth digital government with AI and 5G and 6G, which I just mentioned. And next one is creating digital government friendly for all, including aging people and handicapped people, which I have been the president of the APEC project for 10 years. And third one, solving new technology gap on AI, IoT, and big data, blockchain, and digital twin. We talked about the technology gap for internet or computers. But now we are facing the new technology gap on how to deal with AI and digital twin and blockchains, so on. So we need more serious considerations on the new technology gap for digital government and small cities. Of course, we need the last proposal, harmonizing digital government with smart city village on common platform and infrastructure. Also, there is the need to harmonize disjoint central and local government. DX, and as well as the digital government and smart city capabilities. Also, to address current and future urban issues, including aging society, there might be renewed focus on the reorganization of governance centered to encourage innovative solutions. So, last of the last, harmonizations of the creating common infrastructure platform between data government and smart city, as well as the joint activities, might be extremely important to reduce any duplication and increase economic growth for the nations. So this is my presentation, and I'm happy to work with the Indonesian friends on the smart city and smart village, which we are facing as the top priorities. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Toshio Obi from Waseda University in Tokyo. Next speech is Dr. Anbu Mozi Venkatachalam, the Senior Economic Research Institute for ASEAN and East Asia or area. Please.
Thank you, Pa Bhaskara, and it is my great pleasure to be here and today. And if you, my topic of this intervention today is about the standards for the smart cities, and I think our first speaker today talked about the Nusantara. And Nusantara, he wants Nusantara to be a smart city, and he visioned for it. And then Pak Udistra said Jakarta is a smart city, and the strength is creating a platform, that is a Jaki. And Professor Obi mentioned about the governance. The smart city is nothing but governing or managing the technologies towards these socio-economic benefits. So here, if you look at them, and there is what is a smart city? The basic question comes to us is, and everyone has its own interpretation, and that is natural. And the first definition of the smart city is started in 2013, and they say it is focusing on the ICT. And the purpose of the smart city is to increase the livability, workability, and the sustainability. Then if you look into the academia and what, for example, the first published literature that came is 2016, and they say that is the integration of the physical and the ITC and sector, and as a single frame. I think that is how they define this smart city as an intelligent city. And if we come into this region, and the Singapore, basically they created, or they were the founder of the smart city network, where they see it is not about the technology, but it is creating the new opportunities for the prosperity to win a new world. So the definition of the smart city is widely different. So here, so how this standardizes the challenge, and this wider definitions also is a challenge from the perspective of an investor, or from the perspective of the user of the data, and as Paudi mentioned. So what these smart cities, irrespective of the definitions, what is the common? Common is three things. One is the instrumentations. There is mostly the collecting the data, using the new technologies, then integrating these technologies, integrating this data to have an efficient and intelligent decision making. I think this is what mentioned by Professor Obi also. And by creating a platform, we provide efficiency, innovation, and inclusion. That is the objective, that is outcome, that is we are looking for. So my question and here is why we need a standards, and this is where that is our emphasis. We created for this policy proposal at the G20 level. We see we need a common terminology and the common understanding to go for these smart cities. And if you look into this, where these common standards could come in, and the common standards could be in the information technologies, common standards for the communication technologies, and the common standards for the data storage management. But it doesn't stop here, and all these things are to improve the service delivery and the built environment. And these standards should be matched with these current existing standards. For example, for the energy sector, we do have the standards for the energy efficiency. Transport sector, we do have the fuel efficiency standards. And then water sector, we do have how the service delivery and then waste management. So this is a kind of basic architecture. So far, it has been evolving without a common understanding or the common consensus on the standards. So this has a different impact on the different stakeholders. For example, if you look into this region ASEAN, and here each smart city has one partner, one digital partner, with the big tech companies, and basically, and they are investing on it. It is a city and the private partnership. For example, in Singapore, they provide the digital identity, e-payments, and smart urban mobility, big data operation center, smart nation platform. All this comes with the partnership with the private sector. And as in the case of Kuala Lumpur, and basically they developed a partnership with IBM, and where this IBM invests on it. That means that one single provider, basically he decides the operational boundaries. Basically that the standard, that is what IBM produces, become a kind of city standard, and this city standard will be isolated. For example, if there is another operator, and for example, in Da Nang in Vietnam, and there is another provider comes in, and they cannot communicate. And once this infrastructure is built, then the data interoperability is lost. So here, the ASEAN, basically this, if you look into this ASEAN Smart City Network, there are 26 cities. They created a platform to share their experiences, but each vision basically varies. Their mission and vision varies without having a kind of a common understanding of what type of technology they use and what type of standards they have, what will be the outcome. Of course, the cities are different. Each city has its own DNA. All the smart incentives should be built upon the city DNA. But the thing is, if there is no common understanding, then there is a proliferation of the standards comes in, then it is very difficult to manage in the future. So that is our proposition, and here our narratives for the standards. The narratives for the standards are four. One is the smart cities are the cities managed by the multitude of the service providers and government organizations. I think Papa Udi mentioned about it, and basically it is linking the people and the government services with the private sector. And second thing is these component systems are acquired, and in the case of Tokyo, or maybe there is a separate program offices, for example, water services and energy services, and their organizations are not even connected, and basically the service providers, they are not connected, and there is no common membership for the smart cities. Basically, and also these ecosystems and these are managed independently and evolved over a time. So here, building a standards help the industries, investors, and as well as the people to achieve the optimal experience and also to meet the mutual needs of the various countries. So this gives a kind of narrative for the standards. And if you look into the standards, and here we found basically 3 or 4 group of standards has been evolving for the smart cities. One is this is IEE standards, and they have for the different type of standards about 30 standards. That is one group. And second thing is ISO standards, which is an independent organization. And third one is this IEC standards. And basically they try to reduce these definitions. And then ITU standards. Basically, there are 4 or 5 standards under the category of this terminologies. They varies. And here the compatibility issue comes in. So what we wanted to see to the G20 is we wanted to propose. One is that is the there are 4 proposals or 3 proposals that is we wanted to give, and one is that is a G20 Smart Alliance in collaboration with the industry, promote the principles of these citizen-centric and trust by developing a global smart city assurance framework. This assurance framework could be built upon this existing smart city framework and the policies. So these standards could include a data sharing and then security standards as a part of the foundation for building a future smart cities, leveraging these ISO and the IAC standards. Here we are not asking for as a kind of a proposing. Basically, we ask them to coordinate and combine the standards and consolidate it and propose an integrated framework under the framework of G20. So that is, it could be applicable for the standard of the future societies. And second proposal is develop a smart city advisory group. And there is within the G20, there is an institution called G20 Smart City Alliance. So this we propose them and give a kind of more justifications. So that is, they become an advisory group to the G20 and bringing how these standards could be utilized and how they can build the synergies. So there is this economic cost of transformation into the smart cities can be implemented. And that is and they could be a kind of a guide for this future of national initiatives on the smart cities. Third one is that is more aligned with what Professor Obi mentioned, the digital governance architecture, focusing on the data accessibility and the interoperability. Here we see that is the data that is built, that is generated, need to have some standards, so that is it has been shared equally. And also each city can, for example, take the case of the digital twins. So they can harmonize these standards, and where these devices and the systems include the different code labels, interoperability, and also establishing some kind of mechanisms where this is different platforms. For example, the platform created in Jakarta could be used by the platform that is created in Bandung. And then we can have a kind of a common framework. And this digital governance framework that is inclusive of not only the technologies, but also the data can guide the future cities to develop their smart city vision and agenda. So these are the 3 proposals, and we are submitting it, and I will look forward to more discussions on it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anbumusi Venkatachalam from area for the talk on standardizations and alliance on smart city. Next, we would like to invite Professor Ari Ahmad Arman from Smart City and Community Innovation Center of Bandung Institute of Technology.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Baskara. Yeah, I will continue the interesting talk, yeah, starting with Professor Obi talking about the digital governance, and then Dr. Anbu focus on the needs of standardizations, yeah, as a part of the smart city, and as already introduced by Professor Anbu, actually we are collaborating each others to merge our idea that connected each other idea, yeah, about the smart city, yeah, and my view is about the framework for smart city. It's initiated by the development of framework for Indonesian city actually, but I think we can use it, we can improve it, yeah, to use for a global city, any city in the world. Maybe we will start with using in the G20 members country, yeah. Okay, so I will talk about development of smart city global framework. Yeah, yeah. Every city is going towards smart city, but there is a very wide perspective of smart city. Yeah. Also, wide different of starting point. In our case, if we talk about the G20 countries, yeah, city in G20 countries, I think there is a wide spectrum of difference, yeah, different starting point, different condition of the city. So if we're talking about the same destination of smart city, the effort to go to the smart city will be very different. Yeah. Okay, this is the members of G20, yeah, countries, and okay, actually we have same motivation. Yeah, we have going to the same directions. Even the distance to go to the destination point may be different. Yeah, because we start from the different starting conditions. Yeah, and also different existing condition. Yeah, in G20 cities. In G20 countries. But I think the difference can be made is a good idea because we can share each other's. Some city have experience, early experience to do something, and the others can learn from them. And also there is a special challenge, for example, in city in Indonesia that never happened in other cities in other countries, G20 countries. Yeah. So we can share an idea, concepts, experience, and we can move together to the better city, yeah, smarter city. And yeah, say that we want to construct a framework, yeah, for all city. And what is the importance component of the framework? I think the models, the standard, and governance, including governance and governance. Yeah. And of course, there is other components. Okay, first, Indonesia, in this case, our research center is SCCIC, has developed Garuda Smart City Framework. Yeah, initially, actually, it's developed for smart city in Indonesia. Yeah, we propose that our framework be the basis for developing the G20 Smart City Framework. Yeah, yeah. So we can start with our framework, hopefully, and of course, we have to improve together Yeah, so it will be matched for any city in G20 countries. The existing framework developed evolutionary based on various city conditions in Indonesia. Yeah, we have total around 500 cities in Indonesia. Yeah. It will be very useful if G20 members can share the very wide spectrum experience. Yeah. And all the experience discuss and put it on the framework. So the framework is very rich with thinking, experience, etc. Okay, I want to introduce what the Garuda Smart City, our framework, look like. This is the architectures of our framework, the components of our framework. Yeah, we start with the definition. Dr. Anbu already mentioned that there is a very wide perspective, definition about smart city, but I think there is also similarity. We move to the better city, smarter city, better city. And we have a model that represents the city. And the model consists of the elements. There is a measurement model, collaboration model, development model, enterprise architecture, city as an enterprise, standard, services also. Because actually in the city, the citizen it's consume the services. There is a services that delivered by government and non-government. Okay, this is our definition about smart city. We don't put the technology to make we aware that technology is not the main focus. Smart city is a city that can transform its resources into enablers to support the creation of smart services as a smart solution to solve urban challenges that can improve the quality of life. So at the end, quality of life. We have a focus to the capacity dimensions. Let's see the red line. This is the growing of capacity needs. For example, health, education, etc. This line, for example. And we use, for example, conventional solution. So finally, usually we cannot fulfill the need of capacity. It's really hard to fulfill the need of capacity. For example, the health capacity, the education capacity. The smart solution is the capacity, is the solution that can provide better capacity because it uses the smart solution. Of course, one of the tools for a smart solution is the technology, digital technology. This is the difference between smart city and e-government or smart government. E-government, smart government is government institutions. Smart city is a city. So if we talk about smart city, government only one part. We have the other parties here. And we have to make collaboration between all parties in the cities. This is our models. Our model about smart city. There is 3 layers. Resource layer, it's already by nature available. And then enabler layer, resources that already enhance. For example, resources, for example, people, ordinary peoples. But some people have education. So they have competency, specific competency. We call it enabler. So enabler, something like that. And then we have a service. And all service the grouping into 3 categories. smart social economy and environment. Service can deliver normal value, in any normal city, or we can use any smart solution so we can deliver high value or low value below normal. I think there is a lot of samples in Indonesia. I don't know in other countries. Maybe some country also have some problem like in Indonesia. There is services that actually by normal thinking it can be done better. Normal, not extraordinary, just normal. But because there is no strong motivation to reach the normal condition, there is a low value in giving the services. And we can use the operation life cycle like this. This is our perception about smart. Smart is something like more than automatic, but there is a similarity. There is a process of sensing, understanding, and acting. If we use the technology in all sectors, so the need of human will be decreased. And the consequences, the systems, the old system, traditional system is, I want to say, human intensive. So if we talk about governance, sorry, not government, governance. In Indonesia we call it tata kelola. So governance, it's more focused how to manage, how to make a rule about human behaviors. Today we use a lot of technology. But human also still a lot of human involved in the process. So we have corporate governance, we have also IT governance, and we have starting also to must have data governance. This is three important things about to be governed. And in the futures, I think the involvement of human will be decreased. Will be much more system running automatically. So the future governance maybe should be more portions to govern the technology, also the data, including the AI. And connecting to the something that stressed by Dr. Anbu, about standard. I really agree. In our framework, we also mention the need of standard. Even we don't describe what the list of standard that we needed, but we mentioned that standard is really needed. Because one of the system criteria, it should be integrated. All components should be integrated. And if you talk about integrations, it will be much more easy, much more reliable, if we have a standard. Standard can be layered, in the business, data, application, infrastructures, and maybe outside of this four part. And finally, in our framework, existing framework, not G20 framework, it just proposed to be a starting point to build the framework. We also have a smart city service canvas. So any initiative in smart city can be represented by this canvas. So we can have any minimum components to describe completely about the service. For example, cost structures, sustainability strategy, it must be part of the services. So there is no services that will be dead after operated 6 months, for examples. Because we're already thinking about the sustainability strategy. It's just for examples. Okay, this is last slide. GSCF, the framework, our framework, developed for Indonesian city, but the concept is generic and potentially can be applied in other city globally, especially for G20 countries. GSCF can be modified by combining experiences from smart city development in different countries. Digitalization or digital transformation is an opportunities and innovation that must be found in many aspects of the city while moving toward smart city. Okay, that's all my presentation. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Pak Baskara.
Thank you, Professor Hari, for the talk. Next, we would like to watch the talk from Dr. Fabio Duarte from Sensible City Lab of MIT by video.
Hello, my name is Fabio Duarte. I'm a principal research scientist at MIT, and I work at the Sensible City Lab. I will share my screen with you so we can go over a few projects that we do at Sensible City Lab where we try to use data to better understand our cities. Here at MIT, our mission is to do research, but also bring this research to practice so that we can improve the way we think, but also design our cities, in our case at Sensible City Lab. And why this is important for us? Because cities occupy only 3% of the Earth's crust. However, more than half of the world population lives in cities, and we are responsible for more than 70% of energy consumption and 75% of CO2-related emissions. Our responsibility is huge. At the lab, what we try to do is to understand and bridge the gap that still exists between the physical layer of cities and the digital layer. And we humans, we live between these two layers. So if we want to understand urban phenomena in novel ways, we need to combine both layers. And this is what we try to do here at the Sensible City Lab. And I will show you 3 projects. And these 3 projects, they share 2 main concepts that we have here at the lab. One of them is what we call opportunistic data. Every time that we log on the internet or use a cell phone, we leave behind digital traces. Sometimes these digital traces, they are combined in huge repositories. What we can do as researchers is to find new questions and new methodologies to answer these questions. On the other hand, sometimes we have a specific urban phenomenon to understand, and we don't have available data. So we need to build sensors and to deploy sensors to gather this data and make sense of them. Let me show you these 3 projects. The first one, Tripedia, is based on opportunistic data. At the time, we were interested in quantifying green canopy in cities. When you see this image, you see, okay, probably trees are helping purifying the air, but also trees give us a psychological comfort. But how we can quantify all this green canopy in cities? One method is simply to count trees. The problem is that this is very labor intensive, very slow, therefore very expensive. But also there is another problem. What this person is doing is counting trees. But if you look carefully at this image, most of the greenery actually is on the green walls and the grass, and also in trees in private land. How can we quantify this when we walk along the streets? Another method is to use satellite imagery. Here we have another problem. It's very precise. We can quantify all greenery in the city. Still, we cannot quantify green walls, but most important in our case is that if we think in the whole world, there are not many cities with technical capability to quantify its own urban greenery. So we try to devise a method with data that are available to anyone, or at least to hundreds of cities. And we thought, well, actually, in the Western world, almost 500 cities are already covered with Google Street View. And you know that China, for instance, they have a similar service. So how could we use all this available visual data and turn this visual data into information that cities can use to better design and improve their greenery? So this is an example how Tripedia works. Here you see a car going from Boston to Cambridge. And when the car is driving, what we're doing is actually collecting all these images, and we can quantify the amount of green along streets. In this case, our computer vision model is very simple. As you can see here, it simply quantifies the green pixels in each frame and subtract from the overall as a ratio. Therefore, we know the green view index. It's not precise in the sense that I'm not counting the number of trees, but I'm quantifying the amount of urban greenery in cities. And by doing that, I can have a comparative measurement between cities. Also, equally important is that by doing that, we decide to develop an open source Python library. We at the lab launched about 10 cities. And all the other cities, they were done by citizens, by residents of these other 15 cities, simply by running this Python code. This is a way that we can somehow democratize access to data and to methodologies that otherwise will be restricted to only a few researchers. Sometimes, on the other hand, we know that there is a rich information around, but they are not readily available. So what we do, in this case, in other words, we develop our own sensors. And what we did here, we decided to go into the sewage system because we know that there is a rich amount of public health information in wastewater. However, cities, when they monitor wastewater, they go to treatment plant. By then, we cannot know when this wastewater, the sewage, was generated and where. What we decide to do is to develop small robots and deploy them in each manhole, or actually in manholes that were nodes in larger areas, but covering mainly neighborhood level area, not citywide area. And this is what we did in a few cities. We went there first with a group of colleagues, and we started sampling wastewater and bringing this wastewater to the laboratory. But after some time, we decided to develop these small automatic samplers, robots. The first one was Mario, and Mario, it could go into the manhole and collect different samples in 6 chambers. However, Mario was a little bit chubby, and then we went to a second generation, which is Luigi. Luigi is much slimmer and it filters wastewater, so we can bring to the lab only an extract of sewage, which helps us to identify bacteria, viruses, and other pathogens. And finally, we have Yoshi. Yoshi has dryer ice inside, and we can leave it there for 24 hours, sampling every half an hour, for instance, and we bring the samples with a timestamp and do all the analysis that we need. And here, what you see is actual data. And the idea is that if we bring this data in an appealing way to city officials, but also to residents, they would be engaged in research. Therefore, understand the richness of what we do and contribute in improving the city. We've been running underworlds in several cities, in Seoul, in Kuwait, in Boston, and now in Spain. And a company that is paying out of Rowboat is monitoring COVID in more than 200 cities in the United States. This example, different from Tripedia, which was an opportunistic data, is an active data collection. If, in this case, we decide to monitor a specific infrastructure, what happens when we need to go to a larger areas in city? Here, the final project called Favelas 4D, we decide to study informal settlements. In some countries, they cover large portions of main cities, and they are very difficult to map because first, they grow very quickly, and secondly, sometimes they don't grow only horizontally, but also vertically in very complex ways. So satellite imagery would help us a lot, but will not be sufficient to understand all the spatial complexity of these spaces. For instance, this is an example in Brazil, in Rocinha. And what we did there is to try to use laser scanning to analyze all this spatial complexity. And by doing this laser scanning, we could measure the distance between the source, so the scanner itself, and each obstacle that this laser beam touched. It's a very rich, but very difficult data to work with. But let's see what we decide to do in Brazil. Even though Rocinha is the largest favela, we have dozens of favelas only in Rio. And all of them, they are this complex environment. And Rocinha, to be honest, is one of the most well-established. And still, overall, only 20% of the streets are covered by Google Street View. So how can we use LiDAR, this laser scanning, to understand this complex environment? We went there with some employees from the city that were providing new services to this community. And by doing all this analysis, we can immediately and very quickly understand spatial complexity that otherwise would take months, even years to quantify. Imagine informal settlement with more than 100,000 inhabitants if we have to have all these measurements. And these measurements are important if I want to provide electricity or sewage or water supply. I need to understand this urban phenomenon. And we need to know that in the future, our cities in the world, unfortunately, will probably look like Rocinha and not Dubai. And this is why, by turning these technologies in useful tools to understand contemporary and complex urban phenomena, we can probably and hopefully make our cities better. So it was a short talk. I couldn't be present with you, but I hope that you have enjoyed. And if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.
Thank you. There's a talk from the video recording by Dr. Fabio Duarte from MIT. I would like to inform you that Mr. Bima Arya could not attend this meeting today due to some important duty. So I would like to close the talk session And we will continue with the question and answer sessions for around 20 minutes. We have collected some questions from the audience. I would like to share the question first. Okay, first I would like the first question is for Professor Toshiobi from Arunagoye. The question is for Professor Obi, smart city consume vast amounts of ingredients in every aspect, including funds, infrastructure, materials, and so on. Water consumption is vast magnitude, and with the presence of global warming or climate change, how would one combat this issue to keep smart city development on course? Please, for Professor Toshobi, you want to answer the questions?
Okay, thank you very much. But this question is not directly to me because I'm the expert on digital government. But, this question is saying the smart city. And but priority things which Krishna asked, without funding and without the expertise, it's really difficult for any project to accomplish the missions, and especially local government is a part of the smart city, I guess. They have very little funding and as well as the human resource development always. And central government must support smart city to get these factors, funding, financing, and expertise development. That's my very small answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Obi. Next question is for all speakers, but we will see. The second question for all speakers, that implementation of e-government in our city, we are constrained by the willingness between local government agencies to integrate. Is there any best practice that can be done to solve the problems? It's about integration. Maybe Professor Robi has an experience for integration, the willingness between local government agency to integrate.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, that's another important question. And what we are doing is the international comparison of the data government for 16 years as a ranking. We found that we need the so-called coordination body between central government and local government for working together as the common activities. In Japan, we just established the central digital agency just last year, which coordinates the any data government activity of the central government with the local government, which we have 1,300 local government in Japan. So what we should do is we need the coordination body and for integrations and also exchange of the personnel between central and smart cities. Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe from Dr. Ambu, how the standardization of smart city can solve this integration problem?
The thing is, I think we need to see the first one is the objective of these smart cities, and I think we have been discussing. I think that is the quality of the. Our ultimate aim of the smart city is improving the quality of the life for the citizens, and how we do it, that is the process that is comes in, and basically then we look into this kind of a conventional model that is we have, which is a kind of a siloed, inefficient, unjoined, and very producer focused. I think this is where that is a smart city model enhances this improved the service delivery. So here this introduction of the standards and then implementation of the standards will bring a much more trust that is among the producers, among the service producers, and as well as the consumers. That has been raised, and here we need to build the trust. And for example, the data and whatever that is the data that is provided and by the consumers, and they don't know, but now it is in the public domain, and it is also there is a blood line between the public data and the private data. So here we need to build the trust, and these standards will help them. And coming back to this. The first question, and whether these smart cities can be a sustainable, livable cities, and of course, I think it can be done. And through we at area we did a survey, and basically smart and low carbon societies and low carbon cities, and we find this application of the technologies, ICT technologies, in the transport sector and the energy sector can result in reduce the emissions, reduce the carbon emissions. And so here basically our point is with the key performance indicators, with the standards, we can build these future cities more sustainable and low, more low carbon. But the challenge comes, I think it is already pointed out by Professor Obi, and where we can get the resources or the funding, and of course we need to depend upon the central governments, and but at the same time there are some new initiatives are coming up. For example, the smart city initiatives in India, and where that is the central government provide a guarantee, and that is most of the cities, they have the lack, they don't have the kind of funding capacity. Their fiscal space is very reduced. And they cannot go to the public. The funding outside is very much available. And but nobody trusts cities because, so here what they do is the central governments provide a kind of guarantee. So that is the cities can go and mobilize the resources from the private sector. I think that kind of mechanisms also found working in India, and also Chinese also basically the smart city programs also basically modeled after it, but that need standards and also key performance indicators.
Okay, maybe that's related to the question number 3 about the how to build a standard strategy to build a standard for in regard to digital literacy.
Yes, I think that is also, I think, Pak Yudhishthira mentioned about this platform. That is a kind of the smart cities platform. That is the for the public and private and as well as the common citizen. And this digital literacy, and he also mentioned that it is a common challenge for all the cities, all the citizens. There's so much apps are available, and so much opportunities are available, but how to harness these opportunities? That is basically that is the literacy is very much needed, and also we need a focused education, and focused education for the women, I think, and also the young entrepreneurs or young generation people, and also the old people. Their needs for these digital services, and as well as their use of the services and varies. So here we need a kind of a common but a differentiated approach for the digital literacy.
Okay, thank you. Maybe any additional comment from Dr. Ari?
Yeah, the question number 2, if I remember, there is the keyword willingness for integrations. Yeah, as I know, this is the common problems. Yeah, willingness there. A common problem happen in Indonesia. Yeah, so I think using if we talk about business integrations, data integration, etc., standard can solve that. Yeah, but the problem is about the willingness of persons, usually related to data. There is a persons in one institution that feel that some part of data it's belong to him, so they try to protect the data. They don't want to share the data with each others. I assume that the problem is there. Yeah. In my experience, it is common happen in Indonesia. And what is the solution, or what is the analysis why it happened? Yeah, because there is no rule that state that the data is owned by institutions. So several persons think that the data is belong to him. So the solution is we have to create the data governance, the data management rule, something like that. And one of the point should be a state that the data owned by institutions. So it cannot refuse anymore. Yeah, the data is owned by institution. It should be connected. It should be shared, etc. That's my additional, yeah, from me. And please question number 3, Pak Baskara.
Strategy to build standard.
Sorry, number 4 maybe. Yeah.
Number 4 is from Professor
Sorry.
Ambu.
Sorry.
Yes.
Maybe number 3.
Yes.
What strategy?
I think.
Yeah, I just want to give additional comment related to question number 3. I think maybe yeah, the someone who asked the questions think how about applying standard when someone who will adopt the standard don't have minimum knowledge to adopt the standard, to know the standards. Yeah, and I think we should mention here that if we talk about digital literacy, usually it's something very basic. It that must be known by everybody in digital ecosystem, new digital ecosystems. Yeah, but if we talk about standard, some standard very technical. Yeah, so we need not only digital literacy, but some competency for some people that will be work related to that standard. So I think one package, if we want to apply the standard, it must be one package. We must prepare, yeah, the knowledge, the competency of people who related to the standard. Okay, thank you, Pak.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ari. Okay, next for Professor Ambu. This is related to the new capital city of Indonesia to be a smart city. Would you like to explain how long Indonesia can prepare for the city? What do you think?
It's a very good question, and here I think what we see in Nusantara is not only a green city and not only a smart city, but it's a green, smart, and inclusive city. That is what kind of ideal vision that is we have, and how long it takes. And I think Indonesia has lot of accumulated experiences. That is what Professor Arman mentioned about this Garuda smart city model, and this is built upon these existing and evolving experiences. And if that is put together with other experiences that is coming from regions like Japan, China, and India, I think we have the lessons to be learned, and this process could be very shortened. But building a vision is easy, but how we are going to implement it, and that is where I think this our experiences, even this Garuda model could be and put in practice. I think there are 4 ingredients and 4 operational strategies that we need to think about it, and for the Nusantara. First thing is the focus on the outcome. It is the outcome is more important, and what we are talking about all is a process. So it is the relentless focus on the end outcome, whether it is SDGs, whether it is inclusivity or the green. I think that should be the first one. Second thing is what we are now, and it is a silo approach of governance. Here we want to see Nusantara as one integrated governance model that can provide the efficient services. And the third one is these services should be citizen-centric. I think that is what this platform that is Jakarta has embarked. It is a citizen-centric service transformation. And the fourth one is we already discussed that this is the channel that is the data. I think the data will be deciding it, the future of this green inclusivity and the sustainable cities. So here we need to see what type of new models, new trust, and then now it is we have a model that is very asymmetric. So we need to remove this information asymmetries that can be done by unleashing the power of the city data. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next question is for Dr. Yudhistira, if still here. Question number 5 to Dr. Yudhistira Nugroho at Jakarta Smart City. I would like about in building the Jaki, what is the most important thing should we have to get the goal? Okay, or from the audience from Jakarta Smart City, maybe can help to answer the questions. Okay, maybe the next, I'm not sure. The next question is maybe is about digital twin, maybe for Professor Suwono. How about smart city based on digital twin? What kind of framework if the concept is implemented in the IKN?
Okay, thank you. I think this is an interesting question because it's for me. Okay, yeah. Digital twin is
Yes.
more as a method for the future of all of these system in manufacture, in health, and also in city. How to replicate the data from the physical to the cyber to physical system. And then if we have data from the real life, and then we can control, we can plan, we can manage all situation in the city. So I think digital twin is one of these component. And I also propose to the new capital city, to the team in a new capital to consider digital twin as one of the core in our digital city or smartization, so that we can operate the city more efficient, more safe, more safer and secure. So digital twin, I hope, as a fundamental in a city development in the future. As Professor Obi also point out that the digital twin is one of the our important in a city development. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Sono. Okay, that was the last question we received today. So I would like to conclude our meeting this morning. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 speakers this morning. First is from Mr. Doni Rahayu about the plan for IKN Nusantara, and then from Dr. Yudhistira Nugroho about what is Jakarta Smart City doing to help the citizen of Jakarta, and then from Professor Toshio Obi that proposed the 5th generation digital government model with AI and 5G, including creating digital government for all and how to harmonize digital government and smart city. Then Dr. Ambu Moji Venkatatalam talk about standardization for smart city that focus on data interoperability and citizen-centric smart city alliance or collaborations, including with industry. Dr. Ari Ahmad Aman proposed Garuda Smart City Framework, a rich framework on smart city. And last, Dr. Fabio Duarte from MIT gives a video presentation that how to get data to understand some urban phenomena in the world. From all of the talk, I can make intersections of the talk that the main point or the main problem or the main challenge of our proposals is about how to manage the data, to collect from the collection to store and until to distribute the data to create a smarter world, including smart city. I think that's our talk for today. We apologize that we cannot provide the answer for other questions that is still continuously coming to my chat window this morning. Unfortunately, because the time has come that we have to close our meeting today. Now, before I close the meeting, maybe we want to have a photo session for 1 minute. Please to open the camera for photo session. The committee may take the picture.
Okay, we will take some photos. For the first take, 1, 2, 3. Okay, the second take, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, maybe the last one. 1, 2, and 3. Thank you very much.
Thank
Okay,
you,
thank you.
Professor Obi.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Andu, Dr. Ari Ahmad, and also all the participants, also Pak Yudi from DKI Jakarta. How can we next step for this our policy brief and other activities in G20 and also our real world? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Recording stopped.